So I finished the video just before last night's game started, having no idea what Jalen Brunson was about to do, which was single-handedly will his team to victory with 40 points overall and 11 crucial points down the stretch. And he did it exactly the way he's been doing it all season, with a mix of every type of shot from all over the floor, leading to MVP chants from the crowd and an incredible moment in his post-game thoughts when asked about earning his first All-Star appearance.
I mean, I got nothing to say. I got nothing to say.
And what he said about how they could keep coming back against a tough Indiana team encapsulates everything about this special team.
We kept fighting, man. I mean, no matter what, we're going to keep fighting. That's what we do. We're going to keep fighting every single night. That's what we do. Especially here, man. This place is unbelievable. Especially here.
Congratulations, Jalen. Thank you so much.
The New York Knicks are the hottest team in the NBA in the midst of a 9-game winning streak. And with their new additions, they've turned it up a notch on both ends of the floor. They've got someone who should officially be in the MVP race, a physical presence who can be unstoppable at times, and a collegial group of players who shut their mouths and know their roles. So, let's go through the footage to figure out, are the New York Knicks legit? Under the steady barking of Tom Thibodeau, everything starts and finishes with Jalen Brunson. Before their streak, you can see Julius Randle had the highest usage rate, but over the last 9 games of this winning streak, the numbers have flipped in a significant way, and based on the lineups Tibbs is throwing out there, it's even more impressive what he's doing. Far too often, Brunson is surrounded by 3 non-shooters, and that leads to as many as 4 players in his orbit as he gets to the basket. But he's the craftiest finisher in the league, as Butler finds out the hard way as he uses the Euro to the baseline to finish with a strong inside hand. Also, it's not a travel because he ends the dribble with his right foot on the ground. He's then allowed to take 2 legal steps into the jump in order to shoot it. Perfect. With Josh Hart, Isaiah Hartenstein, and Precious Achiuwa, there aren't many snipers for him to kick out to, and the paint gets clogged very quickly. But Brunson is one of the best post-up players in the league, and he generates many of them when his drives stall because of the lack of spacing. The jab into turnaround fade gets him all the space he needs from 14 feet. One solution to the spacing issue is to get Hartenstein in the dunker spot on the weak side. This pulls his man out of the lane, and if they use another non-shooter in Hart as the ball screener, with sharpshooter Dante DiVincenzo on the strong side where his man surely won't help, there's not much the defense can do against an off-foot scooping floater that bounces at the top of the box before going right into the hoop. With only one shooter out there, you can see how much easier it is to contain the pick and roll, as Brunson has nowhere to go without his teammates pulling any gravity. This is a typical play and explains why he covers the 6th most distance in the NBA and has me worried he'll be ground down to dust by the end of the season. But he never runs out of energy, and another great post move at the end of a drive as he utilizes the up and under from the elbow and drops it in for the and one. With just 2 shooters around him, see how much more open the paint is for him to come off the ball screen? Bridges is worried about a skip to OG in the left corner. Cam Johnson cannot leave DiVincenzo in the strong side corner, so Brunson demonstrates his 2-foot floater game for the kind roll. Here's the same concept, 2 shooters in either corner, and Achiuwa hiding in the weak side dunker spot. You have to be careful of Brunson rejecting the ball screen, and the lane is wide open for him to find another floater. While he doesn't take a ton of 3-pointers, he's at a career high by far in 3-point attempts and percentage. And if you go underneath the screen to stop him from exploding into the lane, he's going to make you pay. There's so much you can learn from Jalen Brunson, and the things I'm pointing out will not only make you a better player, but can help you make more money on Sleeper, the ultimate fantasy sports app. What's cool is that you can set your over-under picks before the game or do it live while it's happening. Just pick at least 2 players and whether they'll get more or less from a host of different stats, and you can win up to 100 times your money. Here's what I came up with the other night. So let's look for some picks for tonight. We got Lauri Markkanen. I think there's going to be a lot of rebounds against the Nets, so he's probably going to go over 8.5 on that one. D'Angelo Russell's been really on a tear recently, so I'm thinking he's getting over 18.5 easy against the Rockets. Brook Lopez, Denver, I don't think he's going to grab many boards. He doesn't usually do that anyway, so I'm going under the 5.5. And then they got a special deal for this one. Giannis only needs to score more than half a point. So take 12 seconds on your free throws, barrel into somebody, knock him over. I don't care. Get that bucket, get those more than a half a point, and we'll turn it in and get a win. Now, check my results the next day. I nailed all those picks, and I'm telling you, with the kind of knowledge I'm dropping here each week, you could too. So you have to download Sleeper, let it be your daily go-to for everything you need to know about the NBA, as well as a bunch of other sports. And if you use my code BBALL100, they'll match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $500. There are so many ways to win. It raises the stakes when you watch it, so what are you waiting for? Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today. Next up is Donte DiVincenzo, who's been a big part of the Villanova value, primarily as a spot-up shooter that plays off of Brunson's gravity brilliantly. First off, he needs almost no time or space to get it off, as his man is focused on the pick and roll out top, while Double D utilizes the hop to get into his release before the defender can react. They seem to have their own rhythm, and Brunson knows exactly when to snap the pass to DiVincenzo when his man has gotten entranced with the potential pick and roll on the other side of the floor. Watch DiVincenzo know to send Grimes to the wing so he can stay in the corner, already knowing that Brunson is going to suck his man into the paint on his drive and then kick it from midair for a wide open shot to regain the lead. Donte does drive it just enough to keep the defense honest, as Brunson's back down into the post lures foolishly help from one pass away by RJ Barrett. Donte attacks on the catch, immediately blowing by the help and finishing nicely with the off-foot lefty layup. DiVincenzo also lets the offense work for him to generate great looks from deep. Here's Spain pick and roll, where Donte comes up to back screen the ball screener's man. Notice how Kelly Olynyk moves into a drop position first, despite Kessler already being there, and that makes him 2 steps late getting out to the open DiVincenzo. Then they run some Brunson action on the weak side. As the ball is dribbled to the wing, Achua cuts to the basket, which forces DiVincenzo's man to pick him up on a switch. While Jordan Clarkson is so turned around, he has no hope of recovering in time. OG Anunoby has been everything the Knicks needed in a remarkable trade that has them keeping their eye on the top of the conference. And offensively, Tibbs has been using pistol action a ton for him, as he gets a pin down out of the corner into a handoff near the wing. They've been smart to always start this action out of the left corner so he can get the ball and turn into the lane using his strong hand to dribble. He can show off both his finishing package as well as his pull-up midi game depending on how the defense plays it. And if you sag underneath too much, he can also get himself behind that line and earn an extra point. Teams no doubt will adjust their defense for this action during the playoffs, probably top lock him to prevent the catch, but keep your eye on whether that will even matter. That leaves us with Julius Randle, a guy who can look incredible on a series of plays one moment and then completely disjointed and unworthy of playing time the next. During this streak, he's finding ways to play off of Brunson a lot more as a spot-up player, and this is what he needs to do even more of. Watch how Brunson brings 2 defenders all the way to half court while they don't pass the ball a ton relative to the rest of the NBA. Check how easy these shots are once the defense is scrambled. Again, here is Brunson penetrating the defense into the paint. Barnes crashes down along with another teammate, and Brunson will always find this pass back out for wide open threes. Julius just needs to move into a position so Brunson has a good angle, since his low three-point percentage will usually mean his man will go to Brunson, and even a poor shooter becomes a good one with that much space to shoot it. They run Brunson off a pistol action out top, throw a little Spain pick and roll out there, and that forces Randle's man to bump down on Hartenstein's roll. Brunson then weaves his way through traffic and finds Randle wide open for another 3. Brunson's gravity will also open up drives for Randle where he can get it to his comfort zones, like the right baseline for the fade with his left shoulder already aligned to the hoop. Or if Jalen attacks an early offense and collapses 3 defenders into the paint, it directly gives Randle a closeout to attack, and he can find his pet spot right near that right elbow for another jumper. The problem occurs when Randle tries to do too much by playing like a player he's clearly not. The biggest issue is with his multi-dribble isolations. Whether they're in the post or start from outside, teams know he's not a great passer from this position, and they can gamble with the double from 1 pass away and catch him with his eyes down for steals. His efficiency in post-ups is already very low for a guy who posts up as much as he does, and they've simply got to get him to stop doing it so much, since the biggest value of these ISOs is that you should at least get a shot up to the rim. But these turnovers just kill an offense, and without his ball-stopping tendencies, the offense does flow a bit better. What he does well in the post is the turnaround jumper where he can get some space after muscling in close. If he can do this 3 or 4 times a game, great, and eliminate the other times where he tries to force his way to the front of the rim, he gets blocked too often when he doesn't see the help coming, and the help knows he isn't going to pass it from there. This has always been the big conundrum for the Knicks in the Randle era, and the forced ISO shots he sometimes likes to take go from a high level of difficulty in the regular season to impossible to make in the playoffs. Defensively, with the arrival of OG and Precious and more time for Hartenstein, they become an elite bunch in the way we've become accustomed to from a Thibodeau-coached team. Watch how physical Hartenstein is with Embiid to not let him just waltz down to the block. Then Brunson rotates to the front of the rim to support OG's pressure on the cutter. DiVincenzo picks up the cutter before Hartenstein shows his chest to Embiid, and then Randle with the cherry on top. This Knicks team took down an elite offense by holding them under 100 points with hustle and desire. Just check Hartenstein starting his sprint at the elbow with Oubre way ahead of him, only to catch up and cleanly block the dunk attempt. They rarely miss a rotation, even when doubling the post, as OG times his double perfectly on the catch, while Hart, Grimes, and Brunson form an L and lure the bad pass into a turnover. They like to rotate the weak side corners man all the way to the strong side block to protect against the pick and roll. I think teams would get killed leaving a skip to the corner wide open, but they're able to hold their positions well on the weak side and get Embiid to shoot an arrhythmic shot. To get Randle engaged like this is a huge plus for the Knicks, as he rotates again off his man on the weak side corner to pick up Embiid above the free throw line. Achua hustles back down, and DiVincenzo takes away the corner pass at the exact moment Precious can cover Oubre. More good positional defense from Randle gets another stop. Hartenstein is very mobile for such a big man, and he can switch out on a pick and roll and contain the ball handler. Then OG is strong enough to guard centers, gets respect from the referees as well, and there's Hartenstein to hoover up the rebound. While Brunson is usually the smallest guy on the court, look how his pressure makes Batum catch this a lot higher than he wanted to be, and then move backwards while passing to allow Hartenstein to deflect it into a steal. And the biggest bonus, Brunson is second in the league in taking charges. Watch how OG covers for him on the cutter so he can step up and catch Maxey unaware with the charge. They won't force the most turnovers or block the most shots, but they're just a tough bunch to score on, and that's what's going to help them the most come playoff time. How many teams could they beat in the Eastern Conference in a 7-game series? They're in 3rd place right now behind Milwaukee, who's already struggling under Doc, but barely above Cleveland, who's been just as hot recently. But I'm not sure any of the Eastern Conference teams would be overwhelming favorites in a series. And this might be the moment they finally get back in the spotlight after way too many years of mediocrity.